Hello and welcome to this very Christmassy edition of the Paranormal Concept Show. I'm your host, as always, Paul Rook, and we are exclusive to the PAUK radio network. This week, we are joined by three other people in the studio. As always, we are joined by the very Christmassy Kerry Greenaway.
Hello.
Hello. I'm glad you dressed up for Christmas.
I certainly did. I have to get the elf costume out at least once a year.
Yep, absolutely. You smashed the Christmas tree look. Absolutely fantastic. And tonight, as always, we are joined by the Christmas pudding of the century, Richard Clements.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank
no
you.
problem.
Yes.
That costume is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, you made me cough.
And because it's a very special show this week, and we're going to be looking back over the year, we are joined by our very Christmassy IQ elf.
Hello.
Lucy. Yeah.
Do I not get an introduction, Paul?
Yeah, you're our IQ elf.
Is that it? Is
Yeah,
that
you
got a
are
name?
That's it.
No name.
Yeah, no name. I did say your name. I did say your name.
No,
No,
you
you
didn't.
didn't.
I did.
No,
No,
you
you
didn't.
I did. You want to listen to the show back? It's definitely there.
Oh, it's going to be one of those shows.
That
It
sounds
is.
like it, don't it, Rich? Maybe we
Yeah.
should just go and do it on our own so they can have a domestic.
Yes, I think it is.
I didn't hear you say her name, Paul.
I did say Lucy, and then everyone jumped down my throat.
We've obviously all had too much brandy already.
Yeah, the
Absolutely.
eggnog is flowing.
It is. It's our Christmas party today.
Woohoo!
Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And on this show, as I said, we are going to be looking back over the year. And Kerry, we've already picked our 3 favourite shows of the year.
Yeah, you guys have. Yeah, I haven't.
Oh, did you
Yeah.
not?
No,
Why not?
haha, they're a secret. I will tell you as you go through the show, no doubt.
Right, I see. Oh, she tricked us.
Haha, no one noticed, guys. How terrible is that?
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
taking a look back. We're doing our review show now because we're going to take a break for the next few weeks, but we will be back in January. So do not panic, our lovely listeners. We will be back with you in January. But we are taking a break because you know what, guys?
We've run out of steam, haven't we?
No, we haven't, Richard. I work in retail at Christmas. Do you not know this?
Oh, didn't you know? Why didn't
Oh,
you tell
yeah.
us?
I
You
know.
should have told us. We would have gone easier.
Yeah.
And I just can't cope anymore. So I said, right, I need a break. So we're taking a break. So we're going to do the review show now because we have done some fantastic shows this year, I have to say. I mean, looking back through the back catalogue of what we kicked off with at this year, it's just phenomenal, some of the subjects we've covered. So we thought we'd actually take a look back and talk about, you know, some of the things we've taken away from the people we've spoken to and the subjects we've covered. You know, a huge amount of information. And, you know, we can't reiterate this enough, actually. Lucy's with us on the show tonight. She's always in the background. She's absolutely phenomenal. She helps all of us at various times on various topics and subjects and, you know, other things as well, not just to do with the paranormal concept, but, you know, she's always there in the background. And she's been quite fundamental to this team that we've got going on with the lads. So that's, you know, Lucy is on the show. She's been on a couple throughout the year, but she's on this one because it wouldn't be the same without her.
It wouldn't, would it? And even when we're discussing things on air and we need something looked at really quick, Lucy's the one that does it.
Yes,
She's
Lucy's
absolutely
always
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sit quietly when you're doing pre-records and some of the guests you've had on. I'm just going, ooh, in the background, like, ooh, I've never thought about that before.
And she's always trying to distract me as well, you know. But yeah.
By punching you on the nose, usually.
Absolutely, yeah. Slapping me over the head.
And there is another person we need to give a massive shout out to, who isn't on the show tonight, but he's always there in the background, and again has been on a few shows throughout the year. That's our lovely producer, our lovely Andy Mercer.
Oh yes, good old Andy.
Yeah, that's it. He puts our shows together every week.
It does a lot of editing at times.
Especially when Kerry cocks up every week. Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
I'll leave the poor girl alone. No, we've got to be nice to her.
Just blame the tree.
Blame the tree. God. Jangle, jangle with my bells is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So, first of all, right, okay, so an overview, guys. What have we taken from, the shows that we've done this year? Where do we feel that we've learned stuff this year?
I can say, I think the most thing I've taken this year is paracetamol.
Yeah.
After all the information overload, yeah, it's amazing. It really is.
We have done some I like the mix of shows we've done. We've done some quite sort of thought-provoking shows, and sort of standard sort of type paranormal shows and gone into them. Plus, it's surprising what sort of subjects you can bring up and think, well, there's nothing really paranormal in that, but then suddenly you find sort of stuff. I mean, I haven't put this in my show lineup because Kerry asked us to pick 3 shows, but it's sort of like the show to do the trees I really enjoyed, and I didn't think I would. I thought
this is why Kerry's turned up as a Christmas tree.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Luce, what have you taken away? I mean, okay, so you're not on them, but you're there in the background on every show. So, talk to me about what you've taken away just as a listener.
As a listener, I've learned so much. You guys cram everything into shows. Quite, you fact find. It's amazing what you guys do, and the amount of research that you guys and time and effort that you put in is phenomenal. But I just learned so much. It's too much to combine down. Really, it was hard picking 3 shows. Never mind, like a lot.
Yeah, I agree. When I was looking back over the shows for the last year, let alone further back, when you look, we've been doing this now for what? Not necessarily on this station, but like other stations as well, and at various times. When you look back over your career as a podcaster, and you think, gosh, we're really lucky. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we've really pushed the boundaries, I feel.
Yeah.
Of topics that we take and look at, and some are huge topics, and we state, this is just touching the edges of this topic.
Well, I think that shows in most of the sort of like shows we actually do. I mean, we are just skirting the edges, but I like to feel that we leave enough to sort of just our listeners just to get the spark to actually go and look themselves and go and follow up on what we present out there.
Yeah, some of the shows that you guys do, you're so with your head and stuff, and you come out with some amazing concepts and theories and stuff like that look, me personally, sends me down rabbit holes. I go off and explore that avenue, and then I don't come back for a bit. It takes me ages.
Yeah, it's sometimes difficult to get off one topic and go on to the next, doing it weekly. You know what I mean? Because, some research shows can take weeks, like when you're delving down rabbit holes, and you have to then hone it back down to what you want to cover in the show run itself. But to get to that show run, you've gone down so many different avenues, and you think, oh no, pull it back to the topic we're talking about, because you could go off in so many different angles. It's a fascinating field, this paranormal field, even though one of our guests, Dr. Cal Cooper, doesn't like that term. I can't help but class it as a paranormal field because it covers so many areas, and you can start off in one place and then start looking at physics to see if that's relevant in a scientific way, or and it just takes you down so many different avenues, doesn't it?
And it's not just about research and getting interested in the research. I've noticed that Richard, when we've done shows on the UFOlogy and stuff like that, Richard's sort of taken a real interest in that, and he's pushed him into that sort of area as a hobby.
Well, yeah, sort of like ufologies. I mean, it's often been there and around the edges, but I do pay a bit more attention to it now, and I've even sort of brought a couple of books specifically on ufology, which I haven't done for many a year now. I can tell you that.
Me
So
too, actually.
it's good, you know. And
So it's almost like you've picked that as a speciality of yours, almost, where, like myself, I'm more into the paranormal, spiritual side of things. Although I take an interest in other areas as well, you know, predominantly spirits is where I'm not an expert in, but that's sort of my expertise almost.
Yeah.
You know, and I also like cryptozoology. I'm quite into that, and I read lots of stuff about that. And Kerry, I don't know if you've branched out into anything different.
I have to say, I think this is actually referring to one of Richard's favourite shows, that we've done this year, which was Steve Ward, High Strangeness, which kind of overlaps all of these areas, doesn't it? And actually, I would say, looking into the high strangeness stuff and actually bouncing off the back of Steve Ward, that's where I bought a book that was totally different to the paranormal or spiritual field, going more into that way. And also, Skinwalker Ranch, that series, the second series with Travis, we watched, and that again envelopes this high strangeness factor, which we all went. I started watching it and said to the guys, "Go watch it." And and then we got Steve Ward on because we wanted to talk about the Mothman Prophecies, because that was a book I'd read ages and ages and ages ago.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know a little bit more. And oh my God, it is, like I say, on Steve Ward, amazing person.
Yeah, see, I think I approached that subject from a different angle from you guys, because obviously you came in from that side, where I was quite interested in the missing 411. Is it Paul Pilaris?
Yeah.
I got interested in that, so I've watched documentaries and researched that side of it, and it all does sort of tie in and flow through. So it was really interesting.
Totally agree with you, and I say, that was like a little bounce off from all of these factors coming together. And then we got Steve on, who has his own show on the PA UK, the High Strangeness Factor. But listening to him talk, he has a talent. In fact, this is a talent that a few of our guests have, which we haven't, which is retention, retaining information.
I mean, and you can tell that he was doing that show just off the top of his head, wasn't it? And you could have, and we were asking him all sorts of questions, and he had well-constructed answers to all of them. That's why I like that show so much. And as you say, Kerry, he's sort of he is a mind of information.
Totally, like, references, books he'd written, things he'd done, and things he'd experienced, and it's there at these tips. So I have to have that written down in front of me. I bought a book that he referenced in that show. I couldn't tell you what that book is. I'm reading it. I've read it. Do you know what I mean? But what's it called and who it's written by? Sorry, guys, I'll have to go and get it to tell you, because I can't retain that. Which is one of the reasons why we do a show run, because then we have the information in front of us. So we're not oracles. Half the time we do the research and it's in front of us, because I can't retain information like that. I think, though, because we don't specialize, I think it's because we cover so many different areas. We bounce from area to area. Right. That possibly could be why. I hold tidbits, shall we say, within my brain. Luce, what did you make of the Steve Ward show?
It was really good. It's, fascinating subject. Totally different to what I know, because it's like Paul, because of, obviously me and Paul are partners, that he's led me down the missing 411. So hopefully in the new year I'm going to look into that a little bit more, the Skinwalker Ranch and stuff like that, because it's something on the alien spectrum and the UFO-ology kind of spectrum in paranormal. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. It's massive at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mean, if this is one thing I've noticed with the paranormal, not so much sort of like the closed knit sort of community, but sort of there's a community outside that are sort of delving into this sort of high strangeness. I mean, the Mothman has been quite big for quite some time now, but now people are sort of taking on like Skinwalker Ranch, and where I sit on the whole thing, I think it's all related to the paranormal, you know, sort of ghosts and stuff are part of whatever is going on. And you know, and I think, you know, and I'd like to feel that if we sort of just spread our sort of ideas and way of sort of like researching out just that little bit more, we can be onto something.
Yeah, opening that door just that little bit wider, and being a little bit more broader spectrumed about it, because there is that crossover, isn't there? There was accounts, you know, where people experienced what we would class as like poltergeist or paranormal phenomena, but having this UFO experience running alongside it at the same time. And you know, years ago I remember doing some research on a particular case, and I actually did look in to see if there were any ufology sightings or occurrences are going on at the same time, just to see if there was a link. Didn't find any. Doesn't mean to say there wasn't any, I just didn't find any at the time. You know, the only other way of doing it would be to trawl through local newspapers, I suppose, but they're not so much reported now, are they, in the newspapers? Whereas back in the 70s, you would have, you know, a lot more reports. We tend to see them on more the social media, not social media sites, but like Vice and, you know, those kind of sites,
that's all
rather than newspaper.
Yeah, sort of, but you do tend to get them on the sort of like the Daily Mail, sort of like a online paper, but not so much in written print sort of these days.
Things have evolved and changed so much in the way of reporting and media.
I think before obviously the internet came out, it was very much reported in the newspapers. I mean, there was even a newspaper that famously reported a red double-decker bus on the moon. You know, you had weird things like that.
The Inquirer, wasn't it? Something like that.
Well, yeah. I think it was a Daily Sport as well, was one of them.
Yeah.
They sort of done all the weird and wacky stuff. But now, I mean, it's so rife on the internet that you can get it all over the place. But you know, where do you take your credible sources from? You know, there's just so much out there.
Do you not think UFO has upped since the period that we had last year and the beginning of this year with the whole lockdown situation? Do you not think it's blown up since then, guys?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I sort of think that, and there might be something to that. I mean, that's certainly been sort of written about a bit, and sort of people have got a bit more time, you know.
But I think there's a lot of buzz at the moment because of declassifying files that the US.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it'll die down. It always does. It just goes through this little buzz, and then it'll all die down again. So I don't think it lasts.
I think people are becoming more aware, though, aren't they? I think when we were in lockdown, people spent, particularly the first one in the UK. This is, guys, not other countries, because that all hit at different times. But in the UK, where everything went so quiet, there was no planes in the sky, there was no cars on the road. You know what I mean? Everything was so quiet, and that first lockdown was lovely weather. Everybody was outside in their gardens. You know, which, you know, you was allowed to sit in your garden and that, and not having that distraction, I think, made people more aware of their initial surrounding and of themselves, you know, taking it back to self and, you know, their nuclear. So it doesn't surprise me that people were reporting more paranormal phenomena or more ufology, you know, UFO sightings and things like that. Because for a start, the skies were clear. So they're going, oh, it clearly weren't a plane because there's no planes in the sky. The fact that there were still planes, just not the quantity that we had, you know, because we looked into that, if you remember rightly, about the plane scenario. So do you think that I have issues with sightings dots of light in the sky. I
Mm.
have issues with that. I mean, you've only got to look at, what is it? It's called Skylink.
Yeah, Skylink.
Oh,
was a big
right,
one.
yeah, those group of, was it the Elon Musk satellites or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, they go across in a formation. I think they're being misrepresented out there. People are seeing those and not recognizing them. There's a lot of space junk, so we get a lot more things burning up in the stratosphere. We
Yeah.
get, you know, obviously normal planes and aircraft from the armed services. You know what I mean? That we may not necessarily recognize because their technology is moving fast as well as our home technology. You've only got to, if you think what we get, how fast that's progressed in the home, you can imagine what it's like in military.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of things going on that we don't know. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding of some things that are being seen, and that's not even looking at natural phenomena.
No, I was just going to say that, Kerry, because you've got so many natural causes as well. And also, I'm not saying so much lockdown and stuff like that, but you get fireworks in the sky. You also get the Chinese lantern, see things moving. People think it's that. But you also get laser parties, you know, like along with the fireworks.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the drones?
Yeah, and they can
Yeah.
see from like miles away. It's crazy.
Yeah. Me and Annie Mercer were travelling back from Kent earlier in the year, and we was on the A13, sort of heading back, you know, just this side of, just the other side of Basildon, and we saw,
13.
yeah, and we saw this weird. It's quite popular at shows now to have little tiny aircraft with like fireworks attached and under the wings, and they do loop the loops and everything, and you know, and that, you know, we were sort of looking at it and thought, what the hell was that, you know? But then the next day in the newspaper they said from Kent to South Essex, these planes were sort of performing at some festival, so.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of that goes on, and obviously, right, it's like when you take a photograph of the moon, a full moon, it's massive, right?
Yeah.
And then you take a photo thinking, God, that's a beautiful photo. Oh my God, that's a massive moon. Let me take a photograph. And then when you look at the photograph, the moon looks tiny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing is not necessarily what you're going to capture on your film. Plus, also, if your adrenaline's going, your hand tends to be shaky a little bit. And we get really crap footage of people shaky hands looking at a light in the sky. It's so you're never going to ID it. You're never going to be able to ID it.
No, that is sort of like the classic. I mean, it goes hand in hand with UFO sightings. I mean, one of the big sort of letdowns for it is there is no real good footage out there.
No, also, what are they using to capture the footage? Is it a phone camera? Is it a normal camera? Is there any scratches, any dents, anything on the lens?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
Most of the time it's going to be a phone camera, isn't it? Because we've all got one of those now.
Yeah.
I don't know many people that walk around with any.
Yeah, but then as soon as you go, oh yeah, that's something on your phone, they go, no, it's not. Everyone turns into experts then.
It's a bit of fluff, and then you get got down.
Yeah, I see one today actually on social media. Someone took a picture and there was an orb in it, and because someone said, "Oh no, that's a dust orb," they go, "Oh no, it's not a dust orb," because I would have thought dust is solid, not see-through. And I thought there's just no help for some people.
Yeah, but that's a learning process. I think. I just think it's a learning process because there was times when we first started in the field, you know, you're uneducated to that point, aren't you? So I'm not too harsh if people are open-minded to learn.
Yeah, but it was just the fact that someone had already told him that it was dust, and you would have thought, okay, you know, I take that from someone that's more learned than I am, but no, he come back with, well, dust would be solid. At that point, that's when I was like hitting my head on the wall.
Talking of a little bit crazy, let's bring in one of your favourite shows. I wasn't on this show. I'm not going to lie. I was ill or something on this particular night that they did this show. in previous incarnations, we used to do a show. I used to do a show with a guy called Mr. Mark Manley, and you've put this down as one of your favourite shows. Paul.
I wasn't actually on it. Paul done this one.
No,
solo.
it was just.
Was it all by yourself, Paul?
It was all on my lonesome. I loved it.
Yeah,
Spread
because
out,
Oh,
starfished in the
he's
studio and
not
everything.
singing on
Yeah.
his own. Oh.
Yeah. I even had my
I
feet up.
wasn't available for that show. So
I even had my feet up on the desk and everything. You know, it was absolutely amazing. But no, I mean, it not only was it just the content of the show, and we was talking about aliens and alien stories and conspiracy theories and things like that. Mark is sort of like off the wall. He's an absolutely amazing bloke, and just some of the things he was coming out with, and you know, I was always like the voice of reason for some of it. But it was just really good to catch up with him as well, because obviously we have worked with him in the past. So yeah, that sort of, it was like a double-edged sword for me. It was good to catch up with him and throw weird and wacky ideas at each other, and yeah, it was quite funny, really good. I enjoyed that show.
Mark still does a show over on Facebook. He does it with a guy called Wayne Seaton. It's the Dark Mirror Show. If you want to go and catch up with some wild and wacky thoughts and things, he does tend to stick more #alien, but he does talk about other things as well.
But you might want the Valium on hand.
Yeah, his energy is off the scale, folks. All I'm saying. And you definitely get a snapshot into his life when you go and watch that show.
It was a really good show for that reason.
The Valium, yeah.
Hence the Valium.
I needed to lay down for a week after that one.
We all did.
And
We
you
weren't
weren't
even
even
on
on
it. No, he's such a lovely person, though. We love our little Mark Manley, and often see him when we go out on investigations too, don't we, guys?
We do.
Yeah,
We always invite
turned
him.
up a couple of times this year, didn't he? When we went out.
Yeah, we always invite him.
He came to the Netised one as well, that we also did a show on, that didn't make our highlights, well, didn't make the ones that we know of, but we don't know about Kerry's yet.
Wasn't that show? Anyway, let's talk belief system, because that plays a huge part of our paranormal journey, our own individual underlying belief systems that we have. And one of the main ones of those actually comes from a religious perspective, mainly because it's fed to us through our education system, or families being involved in it when we're young children, to give us a good moral and ethical understanding of the world through spiritual scripture teachings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And we found an amazing guy, didn't we?
Oh yes.
I'm still trying to get my head around some of the stuff he said.
Exactly. I'm exactly the same. Just
It was so good you had him on twice, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of those that knows his topic. He focuses on paranormal occurrences in scripture, and it's full, absolutely full. So when we first had him on, we was pretty much looking at the Jesus factor and where the Bible came from and all those sort of things. And then the second show, we kind of looked at more of the Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub kind of side of things, the demon factor.
And his cat, Beelzebubbles.
Exactly. Exactly. But again, what a wealth of information. And Matt Arnold, who this is, every time we've done a show, the feedback we get from from our listeners on Matt's his take and his knowledge as a believer. I mean, we're not talking, this guy is not a cynic or a cryptic, not cryptic, cynic, or what's the other word? Skeptical perspective. He has that belief. He fully has a Christian belief, and lives by those, but doesn't feel afraid to look at it. And one of the biggest lessons he said is you have to take it for how it was written at the time it was written. You can't look at it with modern eyes.
No.
I mean,
It's the analogy. It's analogous.
and there's exactly, and you know, with the Bible in particular, more so the Old Testament, it's very much you're not to take it literal,
Yeah.
you know. And when they say, oh, so like so and so was like 600 years old, that's obviously not literal.
No, because quite frankly,
Yeah.
we don't live to 600. Yeah,
Well, exactly.
exactly. Or do we?
No, we don't, Richard.
Or do we?
No, no. And if you dare suggest it, I'm
Yeah,
gonna like
that's
have a
right. No,
section.
don't worry about it.
Now go check his website out, ghostschoolsandgods.co.uk. That is where you can find all of his work. And amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Is all I can say. I came off that show mind blown because I thought I knew, like, generally.
Yeah.
No, generally. But he was putting me right, my mindset right on a few things, of things that I maybe had not written, but read and taken too literally. And he's got, no, look at it this way, and actually jump around from testament to testament and then pull those together. And then you get more of an overview of what the scenario is and the analogous nature of this. They're not saying this, they're saying this. You know what I mean? And that is the fascinating part, I find, to his work, is understanding. I mean, okay, so you go, okay, the Bible, right? There's not one version. There's not just one version. There's loads of different versions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then within those versions, you've got the different testaments.
Yep.
And then within other teachings, you've then got other areas of that come into it.
Yeah. And then by the end of that rabbit hole, you've got a major migraine.
Exactly.
It took me a good week after that show to actually process what he was saying, because it was led down such a rabbit hole. And I remember sitting in on the pre-record that you guys were there, and I just remember I was just baffled. And then we, you know, because we're friends, we do speak quite a lot. And then I came on the Sunday night, and I was just like, I'm just mind blown here. I'm still mind blown. And then it happened a week after. I'm still mind blown on some of the things that he said. Is this right? And then it just gets you thinking. So that's why it's one of my favourite shows, because it just led me down so many rabbit holes.
Yeah.
It's quite often I'll go onto his website now and just have a read of, like, you know, one of his older blogs or his latest blog, just to clarify something for myself. And I'm not, I had a C of E, obviously, educational upbringing.
Yeah.
And I do tend to gravitate to that. Like when I got married, it had, you know, for me, it felt right to do it in a church. And then when you go to spiritualist churches, they're very C of E. You know, you say it, you say a prayer, don't you, and stuff like that. And the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and they take the Holy Spirit as a, you know, factor of actual spiritual connection. Whereas it's, you know, Paul, you actually says something about this. It's actually the forms of God.
Yeah, God comes in three forms. You've got God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. All three incarnations are God.
Mm-hmm.
And when because I've done these Christian basic courses and alpha courses and things like that, and it was quite hard to get your head around that. But then I turned around and said, like, okay, so what you're saying is essentially that God is like water. And they're like, well, what are you talking about? I said, well, water could come in different forms. You've got ice, which is still water. You've got obviously water, and you've got steam. All three are different, but they're all the same. And that, you know, that sort of, they were like, actually, yeah, that is a good analogy of God.
Yeah. And I think the one thing also, I think led us down to definitions, didn't it? And this is where our lovely Andy Mercer came in, because we ended up looking at definition of hell. Where does our perception of hell and our belief system of hell come from? It tends to be Dante, doesn't it, or Luther? And you know, when we was talking about that, and it just, you know, the levels of hell and stuff like that lead into the cross referencing between what people have taken from this ancient, religious perspective and bounced off and done their thing, like Dante, for example. And then that's a whole research project in itself, Dante.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much involved.
And it goes on, doesn't it? And there's cross threads with everything that we found and we discussed, through that. And it's one thing I go back to. I go back to Matt Arnold. We will be having him back on in the new year. I'm 100% sure of that, because this is untapped. You know what I mean? Like there's
Definitely
everything out of it. So, guys, if you've got any questions for any of our past guests that we maybe didn't cover on the show, please feel free to get in contact with us and let us know, because for us, that is a source of inspiration for our working, to bring you guys what you want.
Or even if you know someone that specialises in a subject that we haven't covered yet, that would be absolutely amazing for someone to write in and go, oh, you need to get this guy on or this woman on, and we can try our best to get the guest that you want.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, that came from, we was taught we do brainstorming, and Paul had actually said, I'd love to do paranormal in the Bible.
Yeah.
And we started researching it for ourselves. And then we found the website for Matt.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, you know what? Sod doing the research. Let's get him on instead, because he knows his topic, whereas we wouldn't cover it as fantastically as he does. And
so now everyone knows that show came about because of laziness, I think.
No, because we
really well.
I would say we recognise our limitations.
Yeah.
Well, because we would have gone down the path of burning bushes and stuff like that. But but he just brought so much more to the table. We were sort of we couldn't have done that justice on our own.
No, definitely not.
I remember when Kerry first sent the email or the message to Matt. I remember that on that night.
I was like, he's going to come on. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And what a lovely person as well. What a fantastic person.
Yes.
And what's really funny is after the show, obviously, we're having a chat. And he knows Cal Cooper, and I know Cal Cooper. Do you know what I mean? Well, you guys know Cal Cooper too.
Yeah.
Barry John. We actually have people in common. We didn't even realise.
Yeah, true.
Small
how
world.
Crazy. Small world. Exactly. Fantastic. But an absolute fantastic. He actually did his PhD and has just had it hardbound. Cal's just given it to him as a present.
Oh,
and I think that's lovely.
Yes, definitely. Well deserved.
Very much so. Love it. Love it. That was one of my favourites, I have to say, the Matt Arnold show.
Yeah.
And the scriptures. But then that bounced off onto other topics that we've covered, because we do cover quite a lot of topics. But before we get down into other things, there was one area that's really interested me for a long time. It's the power of our mind.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And our ability. And then we've always had this question. Is it actually an external thing going on, or is it an externalization of an internal process?
That's always my favourite.
We have said this time and time again. Is it us creating that or perceiving that in a specific way? Now, some of it's perception, some of it comes from belief system, some of it is all of those things. But are we actually able to create something externally from our minds through the power of thought? We talk about manifestation. We manifest what we want and all these sort of things in a spiritual way. But then we looked into thought forms, didn't we?
Yes, thought forms and tulpas, basically. And that's an area that's always fascinated me, particularly the tulpa sort of aspect of it, because I don't know why, and to me it just makes sense. That your mind is a very big place. It's infinitely big, and I just feel quite strongly that with the right training and stuff like that, which some of these people have, you could possibly actually generate something independent of yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think you can. I mean, so we deal with this, me and Luce, when we talk spiritually,
Yeah.
it's about manifestation techniques. You hear that talked about endlessly out there in the spiritual field. You can manifest whatever you want, vision boards coming,
Yeah.
crystal grids coming, focusing on it, talking to yourself, even making yourself the most empowered you can be to achieve what you want and actually put out there what you want. I mean, the book, The Secret, is all about that. But that's very insular. It's about what you want. So you can always argue the psychological perspective of you tell yourself enough what you want, you're going to achieve it, because subconsciously you're priming yourself to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this takes it to the next level, doesn't it? This takes it to literally visualizing something to the point where it becomes an entity free from you externally.
Yeah.
And we looked at that possibility in regard to certain energies, we'll use that word, in regards to like sacred pools, and elementals and stuff like that. Is it things that people have created over the years through their belief system that this maybe healing water is magical, and there's a entity that looks after it, so the amount of people that believe that over the years have then created this entity, and maybe even into a paranormal location. If enough people are believing that there's a specific ghost haunting, has it actually created that rather than an individual? It's more of a group thing. Just in the possibility of that has created something. So we discussed that quite in depth, which I kind of go back to quite a lot when I look at different hauntings and locations. I have to say that in my head, that's a severe possibility that that's what's been created. And that takes it beyond anything. Like, you can bandy terms around like stone tape theory and, residual haunting and, spiritual connection and all of that. You can take it beyond that and actually say, well, actually, that's nothing to do with any of that. That is that. But again, you can't define it as clearly as that, can you? That's, I think, one thing we took out of that show is you can't define it so clearly as that.
No, I mean, especially with the tulpas and stuff. I mean, that plays a big part in Buddhism, does it? Tulpas?
Tibet.
Well, Tibet, Tibet. Sort of Buddhists and stuff up in the mountains. But I still do like the idea of it. It does. It does fascinate me.
I mean, it's not just based with that sort of area either. It is more of a worldwide belief system as well, isn't it? China, I think they've got their own sort of version of it. And even when we turn around and say, there's power in words and symbolism, it's the same sort of thing, because if you see a word or symbol and you have that belief system in it, it's going to give that symbol a power. So, it's more of a thought process as opposed to a physical entity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because there are some symbols that even if you don't know the ultimate original meaning or the connotations of that symbol, you recognize them. It strikes a chord, doesn't it, in you? Even if you don't necessarily know the historical reference to the symbol.
I mean, just look at the symbol that the Nazis took for their symbol.
The swastika.
Before that it was a symbol of peace. But
still is in a lot of countries.
Well, yeah, but then in more Western society, we take that as a symbol of evil and dictatorship and all that sort of stuff because of the Nazis at the time. But yeah, no, it was a symbol of peace.
That's an example of pollution, isn't it? A pollution of a symbol, because now you would never. I personally would never use that symbol within my spiritual workings because of the understanding I've got from historical basis of that pollution of that symbol. Yeah, if you go to like the Middle East and places like that, they haven't got that.
No.
So they still revere a symbol. It's slightly different. The Nazi symbol like twisted it slightly, you know, so it's sort of like on the edge. But you will still see that it's not actually a pure swastika. The Middle Eastern, it's more straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not quite, but it's enough for a Western person to look at it and go, "Oh my God, this place is covered with swastikas." But it's not. It's not. It's a completely different belief system on that symbol. Whereas for, like you say, the West, it's totally different. But that's just one example, isn't it? But we see so much of these symbols coming through into our Western society from the ancient teachings of China and, you know, the Middle East and Egypt and places like that, you know, into our modern workings, our modern spirituality. Now, this comes on to the next show, which is one of Lucy's favourites, which was my one, the crystal one, where you all spoke to me about crystals. Which I was like, oh,
it's all about me. I'm going to like this.
Yeah, it's about me, everybody. Why was that one of your favourites, Luz?
I think because I am spiritual based, it was just, I just learned so much from you. It's like because Kerry's got her crystal business and she does lives. I learned so much in that live, and I just learned so much. And to have you teaching me through that show different things, it's just brilliant. I found it really fascinating. Some things I didn't know and what we went into.
I think it's just about perspective sometimes, isn't it?
It is.
You know, and layman terming it. And this is something actually, again, we spoke with Beth Darlington not so long ago, and she said, like, it's being able to bridge that gap, because sometimes the simplest term is actually really complicated when you start looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
So to then bring a better understanding in layman terms to what you would necessarily see in a book or something like that, you know, that's integral to me, and has been in regards to the paranormal, in regards to my spiritual practice, you know, bringing it down so people put it in a way people understand it.
Understand better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes the simplest term is the most complicated or the hardest to achieve. So when you go, oh, yeah, just sit down and meditate, yeah, you know, so you know, that kind of thing. It's actually really hard.
It is hard, very hard.
Which, you know,
I vouch for that.
Yeah, because you've tried that. We challenge you on a regular basis, don't we, Paul? And you know, you try things, and you recognise that it wasn't as simple as saying, "Will you get messages through when you meditate?" And you go, "Oh, no, how does that work?" But even when you went through that process, you learnt something from that, didn't you?
Yeah, but I still come out with more questions than I went in with. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm willing to try anything at least once, and yeah, it was an interesting experience, which you can all read about in our book, The Paranormal Concept Extra, available on the website www.paranormalconcept.com. There you go.
Well done, plug.
Nice segue
another one
there.
coming soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have another one out just before Christmas, I should imagine.
Hopefully, yeah.
If not, just after.
Just after. We tend to end up hitting after Christmas, don't we?
Yeah.
I think we'll hit them after Christmas this year.
Sorry, guys. It's probably be an after Christmas thing now because because I work in retail, everybody.
Yeah, apparently Kerry's retail.
I'm on holiday now anyway.
God, Richard, you're always on holiday. So spiritual practice is something that we covered this year because, again, it's still part of it, because we talk about working spiritually in the field. You only got, you take a medium on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We work with pendulums and we work with, dowsing rods.
We can find.
But I think as well, the time where we covered that show, it was needed with the way Mother Earth was with us at the time and what things were throwing at us. I think at that point when we both covered the show, that it was needed, because I think we were just coming out of lockdown at that point. And I think we just did it on advice, really, and just giving what we thought out to the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it has been very challenging for a lot of people this year. And there has been an explosion. We see this in very various times through history, an explosion in spiritual practice and belief system. And we've covered a few areas of those, throughout the year. But there was a definite leaning towards spiritual practice and love and light and all of these things. And I think sometimes people forget the darker side that you have to work through. And a lot of it is self-work, working through your own psyche, as it were, to fulfill your potential. And that's the side that people forget. It's not always pretty, right?
No, it is dark, it is hard, and I personally work through that. It takes a long time sometimes, but if you stick with it, you get results.
Yeah.
Very much so. And it's an ongoing process because it's an ever evolving situation, the same as the world is. Nothing ever stays the same. It always changes, and so do you as a person.
Yeah. It's like me as a medium as well. Everyone says, oh, you're a medium, it's great and stuff. Every day I learn something different. Like, I don't claim to be the best at what I do. I learn little bits every day. I learn about different things, and yeah, and people are like, oh, but you're a medium, you should know this. Well, no, I don't sometimes.
I think people forget that you're still learning. I'm still learning.
Exactly.
You're still learning. It's, I haven't got the answers to everything. I've got a lot, and I can probably find my way through most things now.
Yeah.
But
no, I've got friends around me in my circle that would know. I'll come back and speak to them and get back to you on it.
Yeah.
And there's a few times where I've had to do that this year because people have come up to me with bizarre, I should say, questions or bizarre things that I've never come across before.
Yeah, I have to say one of the funniest this year for me was somebody phoned me up and said, I've got a Ouija board mat. This was around Halloween. I've got a Ouija board mat, and I've been told by a medium that I shouldn't have that at my front door as a decoration because it could open a portal. And I was like, my mind just went, what? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I suppose technically, if you stand there and open the front door, you've created the open portal from outside into inside.
Well, so but front doors open inwards.
Yeah, scary stuff, isn't it?
But then again, they were parlour games years ago, so why are people? Oh, that's just another topic.
It is the Ouija board. It is a topic that we're going to have to cover because we haven't actually done that one, believe it or not.
No, and there was actually a scientific experiment conducted with Ouija boards, and I think 120 people took part in that. You can't tell me that someone's just, because of science, they've just opened up 120 portals to hell.
I think it's a word, isn't it, that a lot of people are scared of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even now you'll go on investigations and some people won't touch it.
But and my question always is as a medium and a paranormal investigator, well, why won't you do it? And majority of them say, well, they're dangerous. Well, you've just stood in a seance. There's no danger of doing a Ouija board that wouldn't dangerous doing that.
Although there is a way around that, because as you said, a lot of people are scared of the stigmata attached to the word Ouija board. So all you need to do is just get one of those Anne Stokes designed Ouija boards and call it an angel board.
Yeah,
it's all right then.
It just shows you how different perceptions on different words as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean.
But this is why we say words have power.
But going back to the doormat, I mean, so what happens if you put a doormat on your doorstep that says welcome?
Oh, that's fine, obviously. It doesn't make no difference, does it? It was really weird. That was the strangest thing. I think of all the things I've been asked, that was one of the strangest this year. To the clarification of, it will be all right, won't it? I'm not going to open up and she said, oh, you need to put salt around your house and all this now because you've got this bat. And I was like, okay, my understanding is not that.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and say she's talking crap, but I can sit here and say, from my understanding in spiritual practice and the paranormal and these things, no, you're going to be
Actually-
fine with your mat. You know what I mean?
Actually, that would explain something, actually, because one of my friends, they've got a purse that's got the Ouija board on it, and they've always skint, so maybe their money's falling into the portal.
Maybe it
Yeah,
is.
true.
Yeah, that's it.
Like Hermione's bag where she puts her hand in.
Yeah.
She's got like a million things in there. They just haven't learned how to access the lower levels of their handbags or
Exactly.
something.
Yeah.
My purse is always empty, but it's got nothing to do with the Ouija.
Yeah, she's just got the Ouija board on the front of the purse, so that would explain where the money goes. Yeah.
I think I've had some really interesting experiences. I have, and the other funniest thing was this was years and years ago when we first started. A friend of mine, we was out on an investigation. We had a slate Ouija board, and it was pitch black, so we put candles around the outside. And I didn't factor in people were having their hands in from lots of different angles, and their hands would go, and their arms were going over the candles and burning them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned a lesson that night. All I can say.
Was just out of curiosity, was Danny on that one?
Yeah.
That explains that one as well, then, because I'd done a board with him probably after that, and it's like, oh, I've been told we've got to use candles, and I'm like, don't be stupid, you're gonna burn your arm.
Why then? I mean, we did actually burn our arms.
Yeah,
on
I think
that
the
night,
candles.
So why he then went on?
Yeah, I think the candles sort of lasted about 3 minutes before he burnt his arm, and then decided to take them away.
I know.
So I was like, you're stupid.
It seemed like a good idea at the time, is all I can
Yeah.
say. I've learned a lot since then.
Yeah, so is he, not to use candles on a Ouija board.
Not around the Ouija board, further out the circle, people.
Absolutely.
Things you learn along the way is all I can say. So anyway, we've actually come to the end of the first half of the show.
Wow, it's gone quick.
Wow, that went quick.
Gone really quick, hasn't it? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So far we have covered the shows that we did on Thought Forms, Mark Manley, Aliens,
Yeah, Stephen Ward.
Matt Arnold on the scriptures, and the crystal and spiritual practices that we've talked about. Believe it or not, that's all we've covered so far in the first half of the show. Anyway, we're going to take a quick little break, and we will be right back after this.
Hello, Harry Price here. If there's nothing me and my friends enjoy more here on the other side, it is to sit back and relax and listen to the Paranormal Concept Show, right here on the PAUK Radio Network. Broadcasting a plethora of interesting and informative content for all your paranormal needs. Find them across social media to keep up to date with forthcoming shows and all their other adventures. Hello, is there anybody there?
And welcome back to the Paranormal Concept Show, exclusive to the Paranormal UK Radio Network. And on this show, we are taking a little look back at the year 2021 and some of our personal favourites that we have brought to you over the last 12 months before we take a break for Christmas, basically. And we've got Richard, Paul, and our lovely Lucy in the studio talking about various shows. Now, another favourite show, which was, again, another one of Richard's, was Portals and Gateways, my darling. Why did you pick that one?
Yes, well, sort of, you speak to a lot of people in the UFO community, and this always comes up, you know. And as me and you, Kerry, have sort of like surmised, I mean, if you believe in nuts and bolts and UFOs, I mean, it's all fair enough. But the distances travelled, they have to travel to come and actually visit us, are quite something. I mean, I don't think it can be done, you know. And a lot of people argue, goes, well, and they're more advanced than us. And even so, I think there are limits on certain things. But a portal or a gateway may be a way they're actually manifesting themselves, actually coming through. They're sort of jumping from their sort of like reality into our reality. I do strongly believe that there's probably a lot of realities actually run side by side, and we have only got I ourselves, we've only got sort of like basic senses. Like we can only see the spectrum of light, but there's so much more either side of that we can't see. But that doesn't mean that sort of area is void of anything, if you know what I mean.
Well, this is an article you shared, and I don't know if it's a real article or a fake article, about Tesla recently, Paul.
Yeah, I was just looking for posts, to be fair, and just picking posts at random just to share on the lead up to Christmas. And yeah, I thought it was just an interesting article and about Tesla. And I know I've looked into Tesla before about his inventions and things like that. So that's pretty much why I shared it, to be fair.
So do you think we have technology that could split the fabric of time and space? I mean, going into Doctor Who now, really, aren't we?
Oh dear.
I don't think we're ever going to cross that scientific boundary. But I do believe there will be a point in time where we could end up traveling at high speeds across interstellar space. I know that there's scientific research going into it at the moment. And I know when you see posts on social media about the science behind it and things, they always reference Star Trek as like warp bubbles and things like that. And I don't see why it's not feasible. I think it's definitely something they can look into and eventually create.
Well, this was something we looked at to do with that particular show, was where two electromagnetic fields hit each other, which creates the X point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that X point either is a more sustainable X point or it's a flash in the pan kind of X point. Mm-hmm. And they were doing studies, and this came out of something that was picked up on one of the space stations, these X points, and finding the relevance of those X points was sort of like the next step. They'd recognize them. They thought, oh, there's something happening there at that point, but what is it that's happening at that point?
Yeah.
And some of them,
no, do they?
They didn't know. So it was interesting that research was coming out, because it could be a natural phenomena rather than a created phenomenon.
To put into the distance into like the concept, it's like the Voyager space probe that was launched. When was that launched, Richard?
77. Yeah, 1977.
Okay.
Yeah.
That has literally probably about a year ago has just reached the edge of our solar system.
Yeah, it's just
gone into interstellar space.
Yeah,
and that probe is traveling at 11 miles per second, and it's taken that many years to get to the edge of our solar system. So that's the vast distance that we're talking in regards to our own solar system.
I have to say, when we get into like outer space, it starts to blow my brain a little bit in regards to, I always had trouble when we look at distance and time.
Yeah.
Just look at America.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to conceive the vastness of that country, how big it is.
Well, for us, yeah, because we live in
because we do live on a relatively small
island
area.
Yeah, I mean, we can travel across the widest part in like 5, 6, 7 hours.
Yeah, the widest part of the UK. Yeah, we can do it in about 6 hours. Yeah, whereas in America,
that's just being a next door neighbour.
Yeah, that's just to get to the next state or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I've always had trouble with that, to conceive that distance.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, even in America, you've got different time zones. When we've spoken to various guests around the globe, is it Eastern time? Is it Pacific? What is it?
Yeah.
You know, and
central. Yeah.
yeah, you know, they've got 3 different time zones over there, and that we've got one. We've got Greenwich Mean Time, folks. Do you know what I mean?
But it does divide the country though.
What?
Greenwich Mean Time runs like just through the country.
Yeah,
So
but we all stick to the same time.
We do, but technically,
Oh,
it's different time zone.
oh,
Well,
can you hear me rolling my eyes?
Yeah,
Oh my
I've got
God.
cherries there.
Hemispheres, yeah.
Hashtag cherries.
Hashtag cherries. That's what we
But it
say
is.
when we
It's
rolling eyes.
for us. It's a matter of seconds, but over there, it's a matter of hours. So that's why we really don't pay much attention to it.
No.
But over there, it's needed.
But yeah, I know. But that's what I mean. Just in that perspective, it's hard to conceive.
Yeah.
So when you then get outside into space, that is the distances people talk about and speed per minute, and you know how, oh God, it's a brain. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's it. I
just
mean,
does my brain
you've got the distance in our solar system, but then once you get out of the solar system and you're into interstellar space, I think the closest planet like us is Centauri Proxy, and that's 80,000 light years away.
Mm.
So again, that's another vast distance, and that's going to be pretty much when we come out of our solar system with the technology that we have. That's going to be the first port of call, I reckon.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Anyway.
Yeah, now Kerry's mind's totally mushed.
Yeah, we've gone into that over here. America. Let's go to America. Because
Yeah,
one of
we
your
could go.
favourite shows was
Slightly
Jay,
smaller.
yeah, Jay and Teresa. A lovely Jay and Teresa Lynch we had on the show once, didn't we?
Absolutely, they are so much fun. Both of them. They're amazing. I really do.
They're
love
good
talking to
friends
them.
of ours, aren't they? Thinking about it,
Yeah.
and there is a funny caveat to that show, isn't it? It was so good we done it twice, didn't we?
Absolutely.
We had to, didn't we?
I mean, just that again, you know, with Jay, his alter ego, as it were, is Bodine the Bigfoot, and he goes around all these conventions dressed as a Bigfoot in dungarees of all things. It's amazing what he does. Absolutely fantastic. That's why I love talking to them, and that's why it's on my list as one of the favourite shows.
Yes, I said. But the first time we had them on, it didn't record, did it, Gary?
Oh God, that was horrendous. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe we lost the recording on that one. It didn't go through, and it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it was only after we finished a 2-hour segment with them, pre-record, that we realised that had happened. It was like going back to Jay. Thank God it was Jay and Teresa. Is all I can say, because they are friends of ours, and we do talk, you know. And I was like, Jay, we can have to do it again. And he was like, what? And I was like, we got to do it again. I said, you didn't record. And he was like, you're joking. I was like, nah, I wish. I really wish that was the case, but it weren't. And we got to do it again. So we had them back, you know, we had to do another segment with them, bless them. And such great people to be able to just go, yeah, no worries, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but I mean, not only that, if you think about it, we do 2-hour shows. So basically what you're saying is we've chatted to them for 2 hours, and then we had to do another 2 hours. So for the 4 hours we were in chatting, and the conversation just flows. It's really good.
Yeah. It's very easy. And he's so lovely. Jay, well, both of them, Jay and Teresa, are just so lovely. And one of the things we used to do a show on Paramania with Jay, and it's a friendship that's never going to stop, because you meet some people and you're friends for life. We might not talk every week, but they are friends of ours.
We do need to get them on again.
Yeah, they're brilliant. We love them. Love Jay and Teresa Lynch. Right, so that's all of your favourites.
Yep, so I can go now. So see you later, guys.
No.
Bye.
I kind of want to talk about some of the highlights for me. First of all, one of the things I never ever thought I'd do is get to talk to King Henry VIII himself.
Oh, and Jesus.
And Jesus, yeah. I mean, we laugh about it now, and it does stretch your mind to a point of like incredulousness.
Yeah, because it was actually Barry Strom you're talking about, isn't it? And,
I am, yeah.
When he got in because he actually got in contact with me, and I thought, interesting. And I sort of sat on it for a little while. I sort of didn't say anything, and then I brought it to the table with you two. I said, well, in fact, I've had this person sort of get in contact, and they've got a show, and they sort of speak to historical figures, and Barry channels them. And we all ummed and ahed, didn't we? But we got him on in the end.
Yeah, because sorry, Liz.
I was going to say, as if it was the beginning of the year as well.
It was one of the first shows we've done in the new year.
Just after Jesus' birthday, and he shared it with us, you know?
It was the strangest feeling, though, I have to say, remembering that show, because I was thinking, first of all, he's quite controversial, because in spiritual circles, you know, when we sit down and we say we're going to try and connect to your loved one, we don't know who's going to come through.
No.
Okay, so if you want to talk to your mum specifically, please be aware it might not be her who comes through. But Barry sort of took it to the next level. He wants to talk to somebody, they come forward, historical characters specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for me, that stretched my belief system into that. So we spoke quite extensively before he actually did any channeling work.
Yeah.
Exploring that process for him. How did that happen? And actually someone like, he put it out there, he talks to Jesus talks through him. That's quite a big claim, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Even Henry VIII, that's quite a big claim.
Yeah,
Henry VIII, because we sort of initially just stuck with his historic figures that we were familiar with, weren't it?
Yeah. But then at the end of the day, Jesus is a big fan and supporter of the Paranormal Concept Show. I'm happy with that.
Apparently so. If that's what you took from that conversation.
Yeah, no, he listens. He listens, and he wanted to join in as a guest. I'm happy with that. That's fine. I
will say this though, when we was like when he was channeling and we were asking questions, for me as an interviewer, I'm not trying to catch him out, but I'm interested to see historical perspective, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
definitely.
To see if he's historically
accurate.
Yeah.
Is he historically accurate, or is it what's already out there?
Yeah.
Right. Well, now, one of the things he brought up was a goblet that was on the Mary Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That we then got in contact with the Mary Rose Trust to see if this was actually, in fact, an artifact that had been found. Okay. Now, still to this day, I have not had a response from the Mary Rose Trust, and I'm not forgotten. Just want to put that out there, because although that was a year ago, a lot's happened in the year, and there's been so much disruption in the workplace that there's a chance that they haven't even opened the email yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I haven't forgotten that. That's something that's there. And I will research, I will get in contact with the people that know better than us. It's not out there on the internet. We'll say that on net. So what do you do next? You go to the actual people that are involved in the project, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
people that should know, shouldn't they?
But then
they'll have a complete catalogue of artifacts that have been retrieved. So,
I mean, to be fair, it's not very impossible to imagine that they would have found a goblet amongst the wreckage, unless the ship didn't have any. And I can't imagine them setting sail without their cups.
It was very specific what he said about that goblet, though.
Yeah, the design, I suppose.
The design on it and the inscription on it. So that will be interesting to me, because it wasn't something he could have researched on the internet, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if he was channeling King Henry VIII and he knew that was on that ship, and it turns up and it's not out there on the internet, to me that becomes interesting.
Yeah, I mean, to
I'm not
Henry
saying
from
proof.
Mum, love you lots. that
Mm.
that sort of message on the side. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that wasn't his only, because he could even channel pets, couldn't he? Because didn't he channel your old pet, or you wanted to know whether you would get another cat, didn't you?
Yeah, I wanted to know about Mishka, really. My cat,
Mishka.
Mishka the cat, died very young, 10 months old, got run over, unfortunately. And it was quite traumatic for my family when that happened. And I'd always felt a bit of guilt about that. Do you know what I mean? But he was an outside cat. I couldn't keep that kitten in if I tried in my life. Do you know what I mean? He was like a right posse. And the strange things that had happened around that time with other cats in the neighbourhood when he died the morning after I'd gone out, and all the cats were out the front, weren't they? And I'd sort of was like, they were all there on the driveway in like a circle. And I was like, sorry guys, but he's died, really sorry. And then one by one, they all walked away. So for me, these things were very strange occurrences that surrounded his death. It was almost like he was like king of the posse, the cat posse at the time. And he was only 10 months old. I was thinking, oh my God, it's very weird. And they never did that again.
Yeah.
They didn't do it before, these cats. It's not something that happened before. But they did the day after he'd passed. And I was like, will I ever get another cat? Because I've toyed with that idea for a lot of times. And I'd actually put a call out to spirit in my spiritual practice and said, I'm not going to go and look for a cat or buy a cat. If a cat wants to come and be part of my family, I'm open to that. So I asked him,
Yeah.
if one turns up on the doorstep, and he said it will at the right time. It's not the right time. You've not got the time or the patience
I
for
would
a
say,
cat.
yeah,
at
but
this
then
moment.
after your cat died, 80 of them appeared on your doorstep, and you told them all to go away.
They were all neighbourhood cats. They all had owners. I wasn't going to just like, oh, hello, my posse.
Yeah, but they were all open for new masters and mistresses,
And he said a white cat.
Yeah, he was quite
I remember you
definite
saying
about
that. Yeah.
He was very definite it was going to be a white cat. Now, I know in my neighbourhood there isn't a white cat.
There's one in my neighbourhood, and my next door neighbour's just got one.
Well, please
you
don't.
can have that one.
Please don't steal it. But I put it out there to the universe that when the time's right, a cat can come and sort of like join my family if it wants to. And he said it will happen. It'll be a white cat that'll turn up on your doorstep one day. Today, it hasn't happened. But the other thing about that particular show was the energy change.
Yeah.
I felt it
Yeah.
at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of a sudden we've gone from these historical characters, and then we were talking about the pets, then all of a sudden the energy changed.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that, and I was very hesitant to say who I thought that was. And the message that was given was from Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually felt an energy change when that channeling came through. I don't know, but I felt it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel it?
Listening back to it, yeah, you can just
well, I never really.
Then again, me and you are spiritual, Carrie. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pointless asking me or Paul.
Very interesting, though. I have to say, very interesting.
Yeah.
Just listening to his journey, and I think that's the other thing. When you talk to the various people we've spoken to over the time we've been doing this, everyone hits it from they've got involved in this world through so many different pathways, and so many strange things occur that push them along that journey. So for me, that's probably one of my most interesting ones that we've covered. Now, oh dear, I can't go much further than talking about. Now, I was after this guy for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
I've got to say, Darren Ritzen.
Oh, Mr. Ritzen, yes, you managed
Bless
to track
him.
it down.
I nagged relentlessly. Every 2 or 3 months, I'd pop him a message. Now, bearing in mind, I've never met poor old Darren. And he had this strange girl going, "Oi, when you're coming on my podcast, I want to talk to you about the South Shields poltergeist. Come on, get a move on. I want you to do it. And he finally did it. And he came on and spoke about the South Shields poltergeist, which has opened a door for him, which is fantastic for me, because I think great. It's improved his spiritual and journey himself. It's just crazy. What interested me about that case was I'd read the book. Again, quite a long time ago, I'd read the book. To talk to somebody who dealt firsthand with a real live and kicking poltergeist case.
Yes, it's actually quite interesting. He's probably his book is probably the only one that, well, apart from I suppose Guy Lyon Playfair, the only two books that actually sort of write as the case is unfolding.
Yeah,
which is very rare, because a lot of books on poltergeists are usually a long time after the fact.
Yeah, I found it fascinating of the observation as well, not the paranormal investigation side. They've been asked to go in, they're experiencing activity, and again, it fell. He says it just fell into his lap. They was asked, he was just talking about being interested in the paranormal, what he does.
Yeah.
And someone said, well, my daughter actually has that going on in her house. And he was like, oh, okay. Do you want us to go in and have a look and then, see what we can do? And she was like, yeah. And so that then led them down this journey of emails and diaries being written and all the things that we've talked about endlessly of how you should conduct a proper paranormal investigation rather than a ghost hunt. And then what they came across and the sinister side to that and all the things they looked at, without actually the observation of that. And then obviously trying to help the family resolve that in the same way Guy Leon Playfair and Maurice Grosse did in the Enfield haunting. So for me, that was so interesting, speaking to the person who'd actually dealt with that, been involved with that, witnessed that for themselves. And you can believe him, he says, believe me or not, I don't care. I put out there a factual, truthful account. It's up to you what you make of that.
Yeah.
But having spoken to Darren, not just on the show, but externally from the show as well, he is the most humble person that I think I've come across. He's just he won't take credit a lot of the time for his own input in that. He gives credit to a lot of other people that were involved in that, bigger people than him from the SPR, ASAP, things, people that he approached to help him while he was trying to deal with this. He gives them all credit rather than taking, I honestly think I would freak out if I saw some of the things that I hold my hands up. I think I'd be so like, oh, okay, that's weird. You know what I mean? What do I do with that information or that came in? I go to all my go-tos.
Yeah.
Who threw that? Is there any drug or alcohol abuse in this family? How could that have been achieved if they're faking it? And which he went through all those processes too.
Yeah. And I mean, you're saying that, we even listening to his experiences, I actually linked it to a case that I had or I worked on quite a few years ago. And I shared my experience with him, both on the show and afterwards. And he actually put it in his book when he revised his book, the Contagion one.
Yeah, the second book, Poltergeist and Parallels.
So he asked me to write a report on
Parallels and Contagions.
Yeah, so we're now in there as well. That's brilliant.
But again, the impact that case had on him to lead him down the thought patterns of, okay, there was other things going on at the same time that, you can't always put down to coincidence, varying parallels that were happening with phones and stuff like that were going on. And it's just weird.
Yeah.
And when we talk about high strangeness, all this going on, which led him onto his second book, which, is a revised edition that I'm ploughing through that actually at the moment. Myself, I've bought it and I'm reading it. And I'm finding that very thought-provoking. And it's
Yeah.
an angle that he says he hadn't come up with that idea. He's just expanding on that and talking about it from his own perspective and putting his own thoughts out about that, which ultimately is what we do, isn't it? I mean, none of us
Yeah.
have come up with anything groundbreaking work. We research, we listen to other people's accounts or their thoughts and go, okay, well, we'll listen to that thought and then move on from that. So,
Yeah.
but again, that's the evolution through. And sometimes somebody else's work will trigger thought patterns within yourself. And that's what I find so fascinating about that. So for me, Darren Ritzen's got to be up there.
Definitely.
With one of my favourite shows. We had him on twice, and really thought that was absolutely fascinating, listening to that. And again, just such a lovely guy, really, really good, really, really lovely man. I've got a lot of time for him. He's just brilliant.
Definitely someone else we're going to have on again.
Oh gosh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, well,
He's doing like little videos at the moment.
He is,
He's got his little like YouTube channel going at the moment, isn't he?
He does, and he has a lot of other books out there, not just the South Shields Poltergeist, but a lot of other books. He's a very prolific writer, and that's sometimes what I like. They're not out there like live streaming ghost hunts and stuff. They're just going out there, looking at local ghost stories, and bringing that information forward, and actually from their own experiences, trying to make sense of this world around them. And that I quite like that. Now, we've had some fun shows. One of the shows that was quite fun was we had a look, didn't we? We were talking about crypts.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
And this was like a little side chat that had been going on, because we do a lot of side chats as much as we do shows. And we were saying, we were looking at the Barbados crypt, and we, what's the difference between a crypt and a cellar, and, what's all this? And we were sort of delving into that one. And then we started talking about tales from the crypt. So we did a bit of a fun show, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that was good.
On that one. But again, that's some of the things that come from that. And a bit like going back to last year, when at the end of last year we covered the Penny Dreadfuls. Some of the things that we sort of like are in our psyche now, our belief systems, come from these places, like Tales from the Crypt or from like the Penny Dreadfuls, things like that. So that was a fun one. And another one which we really enjoyed doing was talking to Mackenzie. Loved Mackenzie for the Ghost Walk.
Oh yeah, the Ghost Walks of York.
And Simon Entwistle. Now, Simon Entwistle. Let's talk about Simon. Love Mackenzie.
Oh my God, what a brilliant storyteller.
We were enthralled.
We was. It was the feeling of, like in one of those ghost story Tales from the Crypt, where someone's sitting on the leather chair and everyone's sitting around the fire listening to this story. That's the sort of feeling I got from that.
He doesn't just read the story, he takes you with him. He draws you in and he sucks you in, and he just tells you amazing tales. And he, you can get the gist of what he's telling you and imagine how, the things he was saying was back in the day.
Yeah. I enjoyed that one.
Absolutely phenomenal. It was what you did. We didn't have to say anything. We just sat and listened to his tale of the Pendle witch trials, and it was just like, again, the detail that comes out of that.
And you didn't have to ask. You didn't have to ask him to do the voices either.
No, he just did it.
It was amazing.
It was just phenomenal. So we spoke to, Mackenzie very. About her experiences basically doing a ghost walk and how she got into it. And because York obviously being my favourite, and she'd been one of the people I'd watched during lockdown. She'd go out on a walk around York and tell you stories. She still does it now and again. She's just done another one for Christmas. And Simon, obviously the same thing. He'd been putting stuff out just out on his daily walks that you were allowed to do. And it was just like, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And as I say, it was one of those where you just sat enthralled listening. And what a storyteller. Go on a ghost walk, people. If you go to any city pretty much throughout the UK, you will find ghost walks. and find a good one. Simon Entwistle, we would recommend. We would recommend Mackenzie as well.
Yeah.
She's absolutely brilliant in York. The details are all out there in the links to the shows that are out there. So go check them out because they are brilliant at what they do. And
they are really good.
And basically, it's a nice bit of evening entertainment. It's a bit different from just going out for a meal every night.
Yeah,
That's right,
or
yeah.
something a bit different from a ghost hunt as well.
Yeah, very different from a ghost hunt. And you get to hear stories. And that's what gets us going in the field. We want the ghost. You hear the ghost story and you kind of want to experience it, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, of course you do.
I mean, when you do the ghost hunting and stuff and you want to try opening up communication, one of the terms that we use is, come on, like, we want to hear your story.
Yeah. Yeah, tell us your story.
Yeah.
Now, there's a common theme throughout our shows, which
paranormal.
is, well, apart from being paranormal, is my inability to actually be able to pronounce certain words.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And every week...
Are you going to run through all the words you can't say now?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm not going anywhere near it. So we shorten names quite a lot.
Yeah.
If we can't say their names.
Yeah, there's a lot
Paracelsus was one. Do we remember Paracelsus?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a good show. Yeah, there's quite a lot of words I can't say, and that's okay. I don't care what people think of me out there. If they think I'm stupid because I can't say a word, then shame on you.
Oh no, it's not that. It's just
one of my little quirks.
Yeah,
it's just little quirks, and they just go down in the annals of history, don't they?
Exactly.
Always behave yourself. Stop ganging up on her.
I cannot believe, though, Lucy, they let me say that for weeks before they then corrected me on that word.
So it's Perry, it's annals, not anals.
Annals of history. But weeks I'd been saying anals, and they just let me carry on saying it.
So obviously this was a show recently because I've started back work again. I haven't been on any of the research shows.
Honestly,
oh God,
I've had to tackle Latin, Celtic. I've had to tackle, oh my God, basically every ancient language you could ever think of, every ancient name you could ever think of, I've had to tackle in my time over the last year, and they've let me and laughed and tried to make me say it again. Even this week, the 7 cemeteries, Arboretum, was it?
Arboretum, yeah.
Arboretum, yeah, I couldn't say it. So they're taking the mick every show list. I'm so hard done by, girl.
Well, next time if you've got any words in there, put a name in a hat and draw it.
True.
That's a good one. I like that.
Well, next week we'll do the ancient Vikings and Mesopotamians.
Yeah, Mesopotamians. Yeah.
We're going to Babylonian this week. Everybody, prepare yourself. Every week, basically, I've had to apologise to some sector or culture out there for my pronunciation. Even in heraldry, we was talking about one of the Irish motif on their heraldry crest, and God knows what I know. I didn't say that right at all. I mean, people probably cover their ears and cringe or have fun and laugh. I don't know, but whatever. It's become
like
a thing.
Highlight of the show. It's brilliant.
Watch it, boys, because you've both got flaws as well, so I could start picking up on them, but I'm not going to do that.
Oh, dearie me. Okay, we're just here.
Okay, Sarah Sharp. So I want to give a shout out at this point to some of the guests, or most of the guests we've had on this year. So kicking off, we had Barry and Connie Strom. They were first up in the studio. We had Matt Arnold. We had, who else did we have? Vivian. Viv came on.
Yep.
Lovely Viv.
Lovely Viv came on with yourself to do the medium journey. We had Darren Ritzen. We had Mackenzie, I can never remember her last name, and
She's
Simon
probably grateful.
Entwistle.
You probably
She's probably
pronounce it
grateful
wrong.
for that.
Yeah.
Simon Entwistle we had on. We had Claire Hinks. We had Jay and Teresa Lynch. We had the guys that we investigated RAF Netishead with. Lincolnshire Paranormal.
West Yorkshire.
West Yorkshire every bloody time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every time I get that wrong. Sorry.
It's mispronunciation. You didn't get the name wrong. You just pronounced it
No,
wrong.
you just
West Yorkshire Paranormal. We had Hazel Ford from Haunted Happenings and Karen Frey from Haunted Magazine and Keep On Talking. We had Andy Mercer, obviously. He was adorable, came on and talked to us about dreams, and Dante. Mr. Steve Ward came on and spoke to us. Mr. Mark Manley was on. We looked at Jacqueline Dixon and Barry R. Frankish. They've been on.
Oh, yeah, they were on, weren't they, as well? Yeah.
We had those on for a show. Surprised me on that show, actually. I was a bit thinking, oh God, Ghost Hunt, hashtag Ghost Hunters, and actually came up with some very interesting concepts in their own right.
It was quite pleasant, wasn't it? It was nice, a good show, that one.
It was a very good show. I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
For people perhaps in the Doncaster region that are looking for a ghost hunt, I mean, a ghost walk, I believe Barry done a successful one recently, didn't he?
Yeah. He's now an official one for the council, isn't he, or something?
Oh, right. So he's actually got the gig. So
he's got the license for it. Yeah.
So if you're living Doncaster or sort of travelling up that way, give Barry a look out to go on his ghost walk.
Most definitely. And don't forget his den.
Oh, yes, the den.
The den.
Are we going to try and get in there, Paul?
Oh, we are. Although I'll have to go in under cover of darkness because I'm banned from Doncaster.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole,
That's a whole different story, folks. There's certain places in the country I'm not allowed to go.
Is that because you mispronounced them?
No, it's because I've annoyed people in that area. We had Dr. Cal Cooper on. We had the fantastic Russell Stephen Edwards.
Oh, yes, we did, didn't we? I forgot. I thought you would have had him up there at the top.
I love Russell Stephen Edwards. I'm not going to lie. And congratulations, he's just had a little baby.
Oh, has he? Oh.
So we got him on at the right time.
Yeah.
It's all I can say. Because he's just had a little baby, so he's like all tied up being all gaga goo goo daddy at the moment. So congratulations. But a fascinating show on Jack the Ripper. And again, although not particularly paranormal, it's one of those cases that has caught, God, we could do a show every year on Jack the Ripper with varying ripperologists coming on. But he reckons he's solved the case, and he's very compelling, his tale.
Yeah, I reckon it was a time traveller.
Okay, and we had the lovely Beth Darlington on as well. So a big shout out and a big thank you to all of our guests that we've had on. That's just this year, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, right, what a journey, eh?
I know. Looking forward to 2022.
2022 onwards and up.
Yeah.
He says, yawning his little head off.
I was yawning, actually. I'm not going to deny it. Yeah, I was sort of thinking, oh no, I've started a talk. I've got to try and finish off on what I was saying.
Yeah.
But the fun year, again, the year's just, I don't know, flew past this year, isn't it? We say that every year, but this year seems to have gone a lot quicker. I don't know why.
Because we was allowed out for a little while.
Yeah, probably, and we had stuff to occupy our mind, like going out,
Well,
I mean, hopefully next year we can do that again.
Well, talking of which, we have been out this year.
We have.
So let's have a little look at some of the things that we've actually done this year.
Oh, yes. The first was RAF Netishead, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Straight
good
off the back
location.
of lockdown, restrictions were still in place. We were allowed to do events within bubbles.
Yeah.
Shared the location, and you guys, you Paul and Lucy, you had a bit of a task trying to work out how to keep your bubbles safe, didn't you? In
Oh
that
God,
one,
yeah, that was a nightmare.
That was enough. That was the very first one we did. It was crazy. I remember. I think I wasn't working at the time. I was colouring maps in at like 10 to 12 one night. It was just crazy.
Yeah,
but a great location to be able to do that in.
it
Yeah.
was. Yeah,
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, because we didn't find it particularly active, did we? But it was still it was still an interesting location.
Yeah.
absolutely. It was a night out, and the first one for like a year. I thought we was locked in.
For
It
me,
was quite nice.
that one wasn't about paranormal. That was about seeing my mates again. Really.
Well, yeah,
Reconnecting.
Yeah, definitely.
reconnecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
And
also,
actually, I think we all recognised actually that we go out of bloody practice. We were.
I know.
Yeah.
We were all like, well, what do we do now?
What do we do?
Yeah.
What do we do? What should we do? Don't know. I've got this recorder. How do I use it? I've forgotten how to use my tech. Things that you would, it was little things, wasn't it?
Mm.
And trying to like actually connect in when you haven't done any of connection. So you're trying to connect with your mates again because, like Lou said, you hadn't seen your friends for so long. And then connecting into spirit externally in a different environment to your house, which pretty much for a whole year we weren't allowed to do. It's like we talk about this like it's a muscle that you have to use, and if you haven't used it, that's where you find it hard. Well, that was hard.
Yeah.
It's like walking through mud, wasn't it, Luz? And then as time's gone on, it's got easier again because you're using those muscles and are allowed to go out and about a bit more, and you're not so worried about connecting to the people around you.
No.
You're able to sort of like get beyond that. But it was just so excited to actually go out.
Yeah.
So that was the
I think-
first one.
Did we do Kelvin and Hatch again, didn't we?
Yeah, we done Kelvin Hatch, the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre.
No, we haven't. We haven't done that this year, have we?
No,
we haven't done.
okay, maybe it was.
Yeah.
Oh, it might have been
We've only-
Halloween then last year.
We've
Okay.
only done 3. We've only done 3.
We did
Okay,
sandwich, didn't we? The Guildhall
yeah,
sandwich.
Sandwich, yeah,
sandwich.
which was
What
not that long.
What a location that was.
Yeah.
That's a lovely location.
Beautiful. And not very well done on the circuit. It's quite a quiet one.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a really interesting, lovely town as well.
It was, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
Lovely
Oh,
pizza place.
Oh dear, Paul and his food again. We do go around the country with what Paul's favourite food place is. But we've had days out as well.
Oh, we have, yeah.
So what of some of the, oh God, I remember going out with Richard and that was like a lot of driving at high speed through country lanes. And we learnt a lesson, didn't we, Richard, about places?
What are you going on about exactly?
Well, when we turned up and it was shut for the winter.
Oh yes, check the timetables. Yeah. We only just missed it. That's the first weekend they done that.
That was really annoying.
Yeah, and we went on a Friday and they only open Saturdays and Sundays during the winter time, which was, well, that's only about a month ago we went, wasn't it? Start of November, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was really lovely. We did the church though. We got into the church.
We got into the church. That's quite nice. And we found pictures of the merman of Orford, didn't we?
We certainly did.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you should do a blog on that.
So what other days out have we had?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I haven't done. Well, I don't know whether we're allowed to speak about this because it's still in progress, Kerry.
Okay.
When we went round Jaws and the whole George scenario again.
Yeah, we're working on George. Bless
Oh
George.
yeah, private. Oh yeah, it's just between us, isn't that one?
It's a bit. Well, we have put it out there.
Oh yeah. We can talk about it because it's our case.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so we're still ongoing with George. We've
Yeah.
got some work to do with Georgie Porgy on that one, but we want to find out some more information from him before we do any more work, because he became quite involved in regards to the sandwich investigation that we did. But we have to.
He turned up there, didn't he?
He did turn up there, so that was quite interesting. So that's ongoing for us.
Yeah.
That we can do, that we're working through at the moment. So we have these things going on in the background, folks. Didn't you go out with Andy once, Richard?
Oh yes, I went out with Andy and we went across into Kent we visited a church, the one that was hit by a doodle bug during the war. I believe you guys have been there before.
Is that the one at Pluckley?
Yes, it's just outside of Pluckley.
Yeah, I know the one.
Yes, and yes, we paid a visit out there, and we also went to Long Barrow as well, the remains of a Neolithic long barrow, which wasn't too far from Pluckley either. So we had a good time out there. So yeah, so I've been to a couple of places.
I've done quite a few, but I haven't been with you guys. So
you've gone out with West Yorkshire, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done quite a few. The best one that we did, we went for a team, like a team holiday in Wales, and it was the best investigation and results that I pretty much had all year. We stayed in 2 former Armstrong houses, and it was amazing. Some of the results we got, crazy. And me and Paul are going back next year.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
So hopefully, fingers crossed, coming out of the winter, this horrible situation that we're surrounded by won't get any worse, and we'll still be allowed to go and do things, because it's always been a bit of a concern when we've been out and about, and it's something that's still very much a concern to a lot of people out there. So before we wrap this little show up, there is another little string to our little bow that we've been working on all year, which is our blogs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We've been having a little blog off. So I'll write a blog, and then Paul will take on a theme or a thread from that and move on. And then Richard will take a thread from that, and then goes round in a circle, basically. All of those at the end of the year or the beginning of the year get published into a book. We have 2 books out already. The Book of Parasearch, which is not just our work, but work from other people and from the Parasearch radio network. That was our previous incarnation. And then we released last year the Paranormal Concept Extra, which is our 3 works. Well, we've got another blog section coming up, another book that's going to be released very, very soon, which has the blog offs that we did, but also a lot of other blogs that weren't released to the general public going into that book. So keep your eyes open for that one, guys, because it's fascinating. But we do write a blog. So sometimes these are things that we have come across that we don't cover in shows. Yeah. Sometimes these are things that come through from a show that we maybe want to explore a little bit more, or put forward a thought that we had whilst doing the show, perhaps, and stuff like that. But when I look through the blogs that are actually out there on the website, which is paranormalconcept.com, go over there. You can catch links to all of our shows, all of our blogs, and links for books that you can find buy the book from there, or get in contact with us through the website as well as social media. We're out there on socials as well. One thing I found is you think you know people, and you think you kind of can gauge which way they're going to go with a blog off the back of something you've written. And I think I've learnt you can't this year.
What makes you say that, then, Karen?
What makes you say that? Yeah, come on.
Well, when you look at some of the blogs that are actually out there that we've done this year, it covers, again, a huge range of different topics and avenues and some of the things that, we talk an awful lot off air. We're friends as well as, we go out days, we do things together, and we're friends, and we have dinners together, and we do the show together, and we're really good friends, right?
Yeah.
And you think you'd be able to call it?
No chance.
Not a chance. Not a goddamn chance.
What one surprised you then?
I have to say, I think sometimes, well, you both do.
Okay.
You both surprise
Right.
me with some of the things you come up with.
Okay.
It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Because it's
Oh, no.
challenging.
Oh no, I'm not. Yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing. It's just we have different thought processes.
It's really funny though, because one person will write something and then somebody will drop a bomb, write something else and drop a bomb, and it's been so good to see you all working together on that this year.
I think so, Luz. So the question then on the table is, are we going to continue in the same vein for next year, or are we going to just go and say, sod it, we'll just do our own thing?
Myself and Paul had a conversation about this. So I'm just bringing it on air now. Why not reverse it next year?
Reverse it.
Reverse it.
Marley's got involved in this conversation.
Marley wants to start it.
Oh, Marley, yeah. The hell
Marley's starting it.
On the guests as well. Marley's always a guest.
Yeah, my Marley mood. Sorry, let's go back to the blog thing.
So reverse it. So Richard starts, and then put Kerry in the middle, and then Paul last for a change, and then follow it that way.
Now there's a thought.
No, I think Richard first, then me, then Kerry.
Well, we shall see. We shall see.
It's only
we'll
because
continue this.
there is times when I've read Kerry's blog and I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to follow that?
That reminds me, I've got to read your blog, Paul. I have seen it in my inbox. So
okay, cool.
Give it a read.
On that note, continue talking amongst yourselves, because I always have the children factor in the background, and this week is no different. He's sticking his head through my window, saying,
"Well, push it back. Tell him to go
carry
back.
on."
Oh, sticking his head through the window. Oh dear, I don't know.
Yeah.
She locked him out, bless him. I shouldn't say that. She hasn't really, but. So, guys, you have any Christmas traditions?
Sorry about
Not so
that.
much. I'm gonna take a week or so out, and I'm gonna go over and stay with my parents. I think, it sort of get me out of the flat a bit, and just sort of a bit of home cooking and stuff like that. And it's always a good time to go and visit the folks, and I'll probably go and stay with them for a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Paul?
Well, I'm sort of in the transition period because obviously I'm staying with you for Christmas, so we're making our own traditions. And this is our second Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Not any traditions that are started to the fore?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if Lucy
okay.
agree.
No.
Oh, well.
Nothing yet, but we'll work on it.
No. What about you, Kerry? Any Christmas traditions?
Well, I'm kind of in a new relationship a couple of years now. So you start moulding your Christmas around other things as well, don't you? Not just like what you would normally do. So I'm juggling families and, seeing my partner in between all of that and his family as well. So, so traditions not so much, but they evolved. You don't think those things evolve over time, and, in regards to I think those traditions are more of a slower process, but they happen, don't they?
They do. And actually, thinking about it, I can see one tradition that's going to stick every year. And that is when Lucy puts the Christmas tree up, I'm keeping out of the way.
Oh, right.
The thing is, though, Paul, you haven't been here this year when I put it up.
I know. Yeah,
Well, we
I
have
know.
lots of things coming in the new year. Hopefully, we'll be still allowed to do those things.
Yeah.
We shall see, is all I can say. But it's been a fantastic year. We'd like to put a shout out and thank everybody that's come on, everybody that's helped in the background to do these shows that we do. We still love doing them. We're not going anywhere. We will be back on January the 4th. That'll be our next show to kick off the year. And we'll keep writing blogs and putting that information out there for you guys to hopefully help with your paranormal journey. And on that note, say goodbye, guys.
Hi
Goodbye,
guys.
guys.
Merry Christmas.
Goodbye, Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
Merry
what they
Christmas
said.
to you all. Bye.
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 And happy Christmas from Andy, the show's producer, as well.